Is it possible to balance marriage, motherhood, and ministry, all while recording a worship album? Stick around, and we'll talk about that with our special guest on today's episode of Here at Home. Welcome to the Here at Home podcast, a podcast about the people here at McGregor, their stories, their ministry, and their love for Jesus. My name is Mark Bricker, your host for the Here at Home podcast. And joining me on today's podcast is Katy Weirich. Hey, Katy.
Hi.
So glad to have you on the show today.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
And before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and say that this is our last episode of season 2. So you get to finish out the season with us.
Awesome.
And I'll try to remember to say that at the end as well. But I just wanted to let our listeners know that this is our last episode. It's kind of sad, but it's happy to have you on here.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I mentioned at the very beginning, I always say this, it's a podcast about the people here at McGregor. And you are one of the newer people here at McGregor.
Yeah, very new.
You and your family just joined, what, like a couple months ago? Was that when?
Yeah, you're officially made part of the flock in
yes.
End of May.
The last member meeting, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So we are so glad to have you and your husband, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Why don't we get started since you are new? And it's kind of nice because a lot of times I have people on here that I have known for 10, 15, sometimes 20 plus years.
Wow.
And I have a little bit of a backstory with some of them, not all of them, but I've known them for a while. But you being very new, and I've gotten to know your husband a little bit, but this is all going to be new for me as we walk through our conversation today and get to know you and hear a little bit about things that you're involved in. So let's get started, and let's start back at the beginning. Where were you born? Where were you raised? Tell me a little bit about your family.
Yeah, so I was born in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, typically known as Amish country, the horses and buggies. We're not Amish though. But so was born there and ended up most of my adolescent years in Allentown, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour north of Philadelphia, so eastern Pennsylvania. And then at 15, we moved down to Fort Myers, Florida, and I've been here ever since. So that's pretty much locally, not locally, but geographically where I've been. Yeah.
Was it a hard move at 15 to kind of leave, as a teenager, leaving all your friends and your culture almost in a way?
Yes. But looking back, I'm so glad we did.
Yeah.
It was definitely supposed to happen for sure.
I made a move. I was just a little bit younger, and it wasn't that far, but it didn't matter. You were moving away from your friends, and I thought my world was crashing to an
totally.
end.
Yeah.
But it ended up being 2 months later. So it's fine.
Yes.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about your husband and your family.
Yeah. So my husband and I met at Evangelical Christian School.
Oh, awesome.
He was a senior and I was a junior, and we only had one class together, and that was choir. And we met, and
was it love at first sight?
No, it wasn't. I always get asked that. We actually didn't even know each other was on each other's radar until spring semester, which really stunk because he was going to graduate and go off to college. But yeah, he was I don't know what, obviously I do now. The Lord just must have just all of a sudden I noticed him, and I wanted to go golfing. I'm a golfer, and I know that's so strange to talk about, but that's one of my favorite hobbies. Actually played in high school. So I just remember going up to Jonathan and being here, I wrote my number, probably pretty forward, but I wrote my number in permanent ink on his hand. I was you call me, we're gonna go golfing.
So you asked him out first.
I kind of did.
Yeah. Did he go play golf with you?
He did.
Was that your first date?
We didn't call it a date,
right.
But yeah,
it was the first thing.
It was the first thing we did together. We ended up going to prom that year, and we call that our first official date, and ended up getting married 5 years later, 2011, right after college. And we have 3 little girls now. So we just celebrated 11 years of marriage this past May.
Wow, congratulations.
So, yeah, thank you.
And now tell us the names and ages of your kids.
Yeah, so Emma is our oldest, and she's 9. Then we have Ainsley, our middle, and she's 6. And then our youngest, Cosette, she is 2.
Cosette, how do you spell her name?
So Cosette, you spell it Coss. Oh my goodness. This is so embarrassing. Can we edit this
Mom
out?
doesn't know how to spell her girls.
Cossette.
Okay.
It's just the nerves. Okay.
You almost added an extra S in there.
Cosette, and it's from that popular musical Les Mis.
Yeah. Okay.
Cosette.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
Nice. So obviously you have a love for music, and we'll get to that in just a minute. Before we do that, tell me when and how you came to know Christ.
Yeah. So. Oh, I'm so fortunate. I grew up in a Christian home, and I was fortunate to grow up in the church, got to go to Christian school, got to go to VBS, and I came to know the Lord at a pretty young age. I was around 7 years old, and I just remember finally just everything clicking, like for me in my own heart, and realizing like, yeah, I think I did something like disobedient, and I just remember like, wow, like I saw the depravity, if you will, and recognized that and realized that I had a need for a Savior. And I remember talking to my parents about it, and they, they led me to the Lord. And I was baptized at a pretty young age, which I know is kind of, controversial, but I was just in service with my parents, and they just were giving this invitation, like, if you've come to know the Lord and you haven't been baptized yet, let's do that. And so I ended up saying, I want to do that, and I was like the youngest to attend. We had classes that we had to go to like really understand the meaning of baptism, this and that. And my dad took me, and I just remember that day so tangibly still. And the Lord has been just with me ever since. We've just grown ever since then in my relationship, and kind of going from just not only just my Savior, but like my master, and like someone who I really want to just serve and love and treasure and keep at the center of everything. And that's obviously much easier said than done, but it's just been that perpetual just growth, and just it's been really sweet. And I'm really grateful that I got to like embark on that at a young age. Yes.
Very blessed to have
that
kind of home environment, and with parents that love the Lord and encouraged you toward Him all along. So that is very, very special. And I know that you and Jonathan are doing the same thing for your kiddos, and being able to do that also. I mentioned a moment ago about your love for music. Where did that start, you think? And how did that start?
Well, as a kid, I definitely just loved to sing and just kind of put on little like performances in the house or at school. I went to a really small Christian school in Pennsylvania. It was a PACE school, which some of your listeners might know what that is, and that's why I'm going to say that, just because there might be a few, because every now and then I'll say it and somebody will be like, I did that. I know what that is. It's a small group, but when you meet someone else, you're like, wow, I get you. Anyways, so I got to just kind of like we had chapels weekly, and so that was a really great place for to serve in various ways of things that I enjoyed doing, whether singing or playing piano, and just getting to kind of test out the waters, if you will. And long story short, I think by the end of high school, that's when I had this kind of like, there's something there, like I want to pursue music like professionally. And that's kind of when I switched my major. I was going to study marketing, and then I switched to music, and that kind of started the journey of like, this is different than just a hobby. This is different.
Were your parents musical?
Yeah, so my mom and dad, they both sang. My mom taught me how to play piano, and so not like terribly musical, but enough was there that
to help foster that
to help
love that
foster
you had.
that. Yeah.
I too grew up, and I have a degree in music. I don't know if you knew that or not, but
I did not.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Don't really use it, but
I know. That's a whole different discussion. Right?
But my mom was the one that was always encouraging me and kind of pushing me at times. But it was a good push, to continue to explore and try new things as it related to music. So yeah.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah. Thought I'd just throw that in the mix.
What was your instrument?
I played the trumpet. Was my primary instrument that I got my degree in, but I also played a few other instruments as well, but that was the main,
wow.
the main one.
Yeah. You were a performance major?
No, it was ed,
yeah. Same for me. Yeah. Oh, how about that?
I knew early on I was not good enough to be a professional musician.
Oh.
but I did love it.
Aww.
So in addition, obviously you are a singer, but what did you play? Any other instruments?
Just piano.
Just piano?
Yeah.
Just piano. Are you pretty good though?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I think I am, but in a different way than like I've always been one to play by ear and to kind of, which means you just kind of hear it and sound it out. Or if I see a chord chart, I can improvise fine. But if you put straight up sheet music in front of me, I'm not one of those people that can just be like, I did have to take class piano in college, everyone else did, and it was new to me, to have to learn how to have something in front of you and sight read it.
How to play it.
Yeah, but I'm much more confident if I'm just able to just kind of freestyle it.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
So end of high school, you're really feeling this is more than just like a hobby or something you enjoy. You want to do this. So you go away and get a degree in music education.
Yeah.
Are you thinking that there's somewhere down the line it'll be some kind of performing, or are you thinking teaching music?
I was all into teach. Yeah. And then I had landed this job teaching elementary music out in Lehigh, and I was just not prepared to deal with just the amount of what it takes to be a teacher, right? I felt like in music school it was all about the music and all about the performing and this and that. And I didn't feel as equipped to just classroom management and just Lehigh is troubled. The kids were really, really troubled, and I was not prepared to deal with all of that. And it ended up not working out, and then I got pregnant. And so, yeah, lots of stuff down my path kind of just was, doors were just shut.
Those doors, yeah.
But then eventually other doors were being open and ultimately were leading me down where I was supposed to go, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, it sure does.
Yeah.
So, how long? So was it 1 year, 2 years that you taught in the pub?
Only 3 months.
3 months. Okay. Yeah. And you're right that the amount of educational aspect, is so heavy, and maybe not even sometimes it's administrative. It's not even education that you're getting to do. You're not. So I know teachers struggle with that, but I guess in music it could probably be even harder. And aren't they eliminating a lot of those music positions anyway in a lot of the schools?
They might. I mean, this was a while ago. This was. Yeah,
that's a whole nother
almost
topic.
10 years ago. Yeah, and there was other stuff that it wasn't the most ideal situation. There was stuff on the administrative side that was, it was just not the best recipe for success, if you will.
So you get out of that and probably don't know what's next yet, or?
Well, I had something on the back burner that I thought was going to be the thing. I had just finished recording an EP, which for your listeners is just a short album. It's often used kind of like a test, if you will, just to kind of see how it's received, so that you can hopefully get some feedback and maybe record a full one. And that was with an acoustic duet that I was a part of called Barefoot Saturday. And we were in talks with a producer out in LA who was really interested and was gonna produce our full-length album. But then my duet partner backed out, and he wanted to pursue law enforcement, and he had just newly married. And looking back, I'm so glad it happened, because it was definitely, and I was gonna have a baby, and I had just gotten married. It was meant to be, but it was hard, right? So because all these things were just like the doors were just shutting everywhere, and like I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing with my life right now? Like, what is my purpose? Like, it was hard. It was really hard, but.
But like you said, that those doors being shut obviously helped you not go in that direction and go in another direction. And at what point in this whole progression did you begin, or maybe it was even before this, where you really saw music as a possible ministry opportunity?
Okay, so again, that was very definitive. It was 2013. So fast forward, I had my first child, and I was at this conference for moms in Louisville, Kentucky, and it was during worship for that event, and I had this like encounter with the Lord, and it was just this aha moment, like, how did I not see this before? Like, of course, it's been this all along, like, and I've been like chasing after these other things, and like I just felt this call. I didn't know what it would look like, but I needed to just serve the church in ministry through music, and I didn't know what that would look like. So I came back and I just started to just see, like, serve where I was at, where I was planted. So at our church, if that was, playing keys for service, or I got to mentor our high school worship team for a little bit, just serving where you're planted already, and then feeling led to start writing songs of worship. There was just this shift. Because that whole acoustic duet, that was very just secular mainstream, just kind of, it's fine. Like, it wasn't anything evil or wrong with that, but like there was just this shift, and like and ever since then, it's just been that prominent like focus that I know what I was supposed to kind of go down this other road, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. In fact, and you just mentioned that you were writing songs. Had you been writing before, and is that something that you enjoy and love to do, is to write?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had that acoustic duet. We had put out, I think it was 5 original songs or so, and
did you co-write them with?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're still out there.
They're still out there. I bet we can find them. I'll have to track Barefoot in the
Barefoot Saturday.
Barefoot Saturday. Yeah.
And then I was still doing like a lot of weddings. I had a whole music business where I would just do ceremony music and subcontract different ensembles for that. Did that for like all during college, and only up until like a couple years ago I felt like I just need to like retire from that and just go all into like the whole ministry side of things.
Right. So that has been a big shift. It started in 2013.
Yeah, and it's slowly just been progressing and building, and I still am just like, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm along for the ride. You just do what you do, and I will show up like as best I can.
How do you see music as a ministry?
Well, for me specifically, a lot of the inspiration behind my songs has been, a lot of it is things that I was reading in the Word that were just anchors to my soul and like my faith in getting through some really, really hard times in my life, and just wanting to just write songs that proclaim truth. And that somehow continue to point to the Lord and give him the proper perspective that he's owed, and also to continue to promote the gospel, because we can't ever get over the gospel.
That's exactly right.
So just to have those main umbrella things over the music, but also just hopefully that people would just, it's not anything, the thematic stuff obviously is not anything new. They're truths from the Word that are just solid, right? That we've heard. Timeless. But hopefully the music is like that new song. He put a new song in my mouth out of Psalm 40. That's a verse that comes to mind when I think of this project or whatever. Hopefully there's just a freshness and a newness of sonically what you might hear combined with that truth of Scripture. Right. Yeah.
That's neat. Well, I have had a chance to listen to your we'll say your new album, but really it's the first solo album you've ever done.
It is. You're right.
And a worship album.
Yeah.
And it's really, really good.
Oh, thank you so
really, really
much.
good. And I will encourage our listeners to go and listen to it. What's the name of the album?
Out of the Blue.
Out of the Blue. Yeah. And it's a 7-song, six song album. So it's not a full.
It's not a full. It's an EP.
EP.
Like we talked about.
Yes.
Yep.
It's an EP album.
Yeah, because I'm a newbie, and that's what you
Got
do
to start
first.
there,
Gotta start
right?
somewhere.
So you can listen to that on Apple Music, which is where I listen to it.
Yeah,
Spotify.
Everywhere.
Yep. And when was the album released? How long has it been out?
It's June 17th, so only, a couple weeks.
Yeah, not too long. A couple months probably when our listeners are listening to this, but yeah, it's still pretty new.
Very new.
6 songs, what was the inspiration for those? You wrote all 6 of those songs?
I did, yeah.
Awesome. What was the inspiration for maybe thematically of putting those 6 together, or was it just kind of random, or these are my best 6 songs? How do you pick those 6 songs?
Oh my goodness. That was like a whole thing. Like we recorded this up in Nashville, and I just remember, I think I brought like 12 or 13, and we had to pick only 6. It was actually it was only 5. The 6th track is a remix of one of the tracks,
right.
But it's still in its own right. It's a different vibe entirely. So it's, but no,
we're counting it.
Yeah, it's we went through them. We prayed about it. We got some feedback from our producer, and just lots of prayer, honestly, and just trying to be sensitive. And so Fear Not is the first one that we decided to go after, and that was the first single released off the album that was released in 2019. I would just say, to answer your question, overall, I just knew I wanted some songs that were just very like worship anthems, just happy things that like hopefully churches might get to use in their corporate worship, and then also those more pensive kind of ballad pieces that might meet people in a place maybe where they're struggling,
right.
And just to have those truths that they can sing over themselves. If they're finding themselves in a place where they're trying to fight, the lies of the enemy or the lies of anything that's bombarding them, that they would have that to kind of combat that.
How would you describe this album, style-wise or genre, for somebody that's, hey, I'd like to go listen to that? I wonder what kind of music it is.
Wow, it's kind of hard to there's some pop elements, definitely an indie vibe, definitely some mainstream CCM kind of stuff, so contemporary Christian music. And
So you're all over the board.
Yeah, but all the tracks are, we wanted, the main goal for this was honestly just to put out songs that like the body could use. So everything is available to be licensed on CCLI. There's multi-tracks, like stems for all the songs on multi-tracks. There's charts via praise charts. So we wanted to like resource the body, like whoever might feel led to like use this material.
Why such a burden for that?
I don't know. I just... Is
it because maybe some of your past experience yourself? And because haven't you led worship?
Yes. Maybe that's probably probably part of it. I don't know. I just think going back to where I felt that kind of like call or whatever, it really felt like it was supposed to be to somehow serve the church. And so if I'm going to put music out, and it resonates, I want people to have those resources to use it.
Use them.
If at all possible.
Well, I appreciate your heart on that, because I know a lot of folks are more interested in the glory they get versus being able to give the glory to the Lord and his church. And so I appreciate that. You already answered one of my questions, but I might ask it again. In fact, you just did a minute ago, because I wanted you to be able to share with our listeners what your hope for this album really is. And I think part of it is just what you said. I want it to be a resource for churches to be able to use this. Is there anything else that you would hope to see come out of this album?
If there's someone out there that doesn't know the Lord and they hear this and somehow it was used to bring people into the kingdom, to advance the kingdom somehow, or if someone is just kind of needing brought back, if you will. I don't know. I want people just to have Jesus, honestly, and that's enough for me. That's enough for me. Like,
I can't get any better than that. I just want people to have Jesus. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Awesome. What was the time frame from, okay, we want to make an album till it released? Is that a 2 year, a 1 year? How long? How long?
So most of the songs were written 2016, 17. Didn't cut them or record them till 2019. And only one of the songs was released in 2019, and then the pandemic hit.
So that kind of...
And then I had another baby.
Oh, wow.
And so everything got pushed back. And so 2022. So that's, 3 years?
Since 19, but even going back further when you wrote the songs.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty long process. What was the biggest hurdle outside a global pandemic and having a baby? What were some of the biggest challenges in getting this ultimately released?
Well, for me personally, we ended up getting pregnant with our third child just prior to the pandemic. So actually, like right when Fear Not released, which was in 2019, right around then, I had found out I was pregnant. And for me, a big part of my story and my testimony is having gone through some really severe postpartum depression and anxiety. And we all kind of wondered if that was going to happen again with a third child, which it did. And so I had to take a pretty substantial break from everything just to kind of focus in on just being a mother and kind of dealing with that on top of it. So yeah, that's probably a big part of it. But also, for a lot of music people, they were off the road, right? So they're in the studio up there wanting to get all their stuff done, which is fine. And I'm new, right? So I have to kind of wait,
You're far back in line.
I'm not signed or anything like that. I'm an indie artist, so I need to be patient and wait this thing out. There was a lot.
Yeah.
But I think God's timing is perfect. I would just have to remember that, and I believe that. And so he already knew that this was going to come out,
When it came out.
Did.
That's right.
And it was special, though, because I had those songs already completed on my hard drive. So during that third bout of postpartum, I would just listen to them, and it was a reminder, I got you through it before, I'll get you through it again.
That's right.
So.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah. And I'm sure you've been able to be an encouragement to others, perhaps, that have gone through that.
Hopefully.
We'll go through that in the future. Yeah.
The title, though, Out of the Blue, is Jonathan actually came up with that title.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the baby blues is a common kind of term about mental health after pregnancy, and so, yeah, we called it that. I was like, I really want to call this Out of the Dark. But I think somebody had already, released something with that title. And he's like, what about Out of the Blue?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I love you.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
This is why not just this, but he's
nice when
he's something else. Yeah.
Well, and I think he's helped a little bit more because, let me say this. First of all, you're a podcaster as well, because I did a little research in preparing for this. And so there you have your own website.
Yeah.
You can go to katyweirich.com. Is that it?
That's right.
Yeah. And if they spell your last name correctly, they'll find it. If not, they'll have to Google find it. But they can get to that. But you have a podcast on there as well as some of the videos for your songs. What's with the Blue Jay? Is that?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause I saw that song video, but I didn't have time to listen to it.
No, that song, wow. There's a whole story behind that. Do you want me to share that, or?
If you think it's a good, yeah.
Well, so during that second bout, out of the 3 bouts of the postpartum stuff, the second bout was the worst. It was very, very bad, and I was nearly hospitalized, and Jonathan had to come home for 6 weeks and take care of us, and it took about 6 months of recovery until I felt myself again. And I just remember during that time, I would see blue jays just at the most it didn't seem like an accident, and it was just like a hug from the Lord. That's the best way I know how to describe it. Just like, I see you where you are right now. You're not alone. You keep walking and living and fighting, and you're gonna fly again. Because I felt some of the lyrics on that song are like, circumstances clip my wings. I felt so trapped and just held down, and just so I would see those, and I never told anyone about it. It was like my special thing with the Lord. But then after I had fully recovered, I got to go on a trip to Scotland with my mom's side of the family, and we were on this coach bus driving through the Highlands of Scotland, and I looked out the window, and there was a flock of blue jays, and
wow.
I lost it. And my sister was like, "Why are you bawling, crying right now? We were just laughing like a minute before." And she was like the first one I told about like what these blue jay things. And then I come home from Scotland, and I have this in my kitchen, this Oswald Chambers My Atmosphere is Highest flip calendar, which has just been, I mean, I still have it every day and use it. But during that recovery, that 6 months recovery, like I would just flip it. Each day you get to the next day, it's like a victory. And basically, so I come back from Scotland, and I go to look at it, and I didn't even realize that the scenery on that, like they had pretty landscapes to go with, was exactly where I had just been. Some of the castles I had just walked through.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, holy cow, like, look where you brought me, like you got me through, look what you've done. And then I knew, like, I can't keep this to myself. I have to write a song about it. I didn't know if I'd ever release the song, if we'd ever even record the song. But when we were up in the studio, my brother happened to be with me, and he had just gotten this new tattoo, and it said, "Your story told truthfully is good news to those who hear it." And I was like, I have to share this because hopefully it's good news to somebody that hears it. And so we ended up recording that song, and I'm glad because, that's Blue Jay. So.
And then you went from there to Out of the Blue.
Yeah, so blue, there's a lot of
there.
There's a lot of creative thematic stuff surrounding that title.
On your website, not only do you have your podcast, but you also have a blog on there where you write. Do you currently write? Is that something you enjoy doing
I do.
Devotional writing?
I haven't done it in a while, nor podcast, because as an indie, you're doing all the other nitty-gritty grind admin stuff because you don't have that like label behind you to do all those different things. But eventually, I do love to write. Maybe
one day you get caught up with the 12 different spinning plates that you have going. You got a lot going.
Right.
All right, well, let me ask you one last question. What's next for Katy, other than trying to get back to podcasting and blogging?
Right.
Any big projects out there that you're thinking of?
Honestly, no. I don't know how to answer that. My hands are just open, and I'm just praying that the Lord would just continue to open doors, and that wherever I'm supposed to serve, however He wants me to, that He'll just open those doors, and I'll be sensitive and just keep on following Him and showing up.
Yeah.
I know that's really vague.
No, that's okay. Yeah.
But I have 3 kids, and
just be faithful where He has you now.
Yeah, for
exactly.
sure. I'm not really sure, but it's kind of exciting, right?
Yeah.
Not knowing, it's that trust and that,
Well, we will be looking forward to whatever that is in Katy's life. And I would encourage our listeners to go and listen to your new album and check out your website. And if you're a member here at McGregor, next time they see you, if they're listening, they still don't know what you look like. But if they go to their website, they'll know what you look like. And there's a lot of your publicity photos. You're in a wedding dress, it looks like. Is that?
It's a parachute dress.
Oh, wow.
From World War II.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was so cool.
They look like you have fun. Even though you're sleeping on one of them, it looks like taking a nap.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing now, right? You got to look like you're you're sleeping.
See, you never. I don't get to see the smile though on any of those. I know. You have such a great smile.
Yeah, thanks.
Wow. Well, thank you for being a part of the Here at Home podcast and for wrapping up the final episode of season 2. Christian, when will we be back? Next year?
We'll come back when we come back.
We'll be back when we're back. We'll probably do some special editions along the way in the rest of 2022, I'm sure. we wouldn't go that long without doing something. We always do something around Christmas as well. But Katy, you can say you were part of the official last episode. So thank you so much for joining us.
That's an honor.
Thank our listeners as well for being a part of our Here at Home podcast. We're so grateful for them and how they have made the show successful. And I would encourage them to continue to share it with your friends. I still find people that'll come up and say, I see your podcast in between the services, online or something. How do I get to that? And I'm like, really? Need some help with that? Okay, I'll be glad to. So I'll usually grab their phone and subscribe for them. Like, all right, it'll just show up automatically now.
I love it.
But that's I listen to 10 podcasts a week probably, but so it's just kind of part of what I assume. But a lot of people, it's still new. It's like, well, a podcast, I heard of that, but how do I do that? And we're also available on YouTube, so they can watch us if they'd rather see faces and your smile and that. But I encourage you to be a part of that. And again, thanks for listening, and we'll see everybody back, not in a couple of weeks, but next season, right back here at Home.